This video exposes a channel handle at music station Q7J who repeatedly promotes cruelty toward animals and weaponizes that language to insult and dehumanize people. His rhetoric normalizes abuse and shows a speciesist mindset, treating animals and humans as disposable. This behavior is absolutely harmful, disturbing, and unacceptable and needs to be reported. In this post, the user repeatedly calls others sick animals and frames animal abuse language as an insult. That turns cruelty into a weapon. It mocks animals' suffering and uses it to humiliate people. This is explicit speciesist dehumanization that normalizes harm and violates platform policies. He uses ableist slurs and describes a person as a disabled sick animal, explicitly dehumanizing them. He also falsely accuses the target of racism and ageism without evidence. While celebrating his own behavior, this rhetoric weaponizes animal suffering to insult people and normalizes cruelty, a clear example of speciesist dehumanization. He repeatedly describes people as old, disabled, sick, mangy animals, using animal abuse language to humiliate them by saying there's only one thing left to do with them. He implies extreme action or removal without saying it outright. That veiled threat weaponizes animal suffering to normalize violence and is a clear example of speciesist dehumanization. He describes people as sick, mangy, disabled, diseased, gangrenous, deaf, blind, and dumb animals, claiming they have no life, by using animal abuse language to mock and dehumanize. He strips targets of dignity and normalizes cruelty. This is a clear example of speciesist dehumanization, where animal suffering is weaponized to insult and belittle humans. He compares a person to an old, mangy, dirty, disabled, deaf, blind, and dumb animal, declaring them past their prime and implying their life has no value. This language turns animal suffering into a weapon, suggesting that only the young, healthy, and useful deserve respect or survival. It dehumanizes humans, glorifies cruelty, and exposes a deeply speciesist mindset that normalizes abuse and justifies the disposal of those deemed weak or unproductive. In this screenshot, music station writes that someone has been cyberbullying and harassing people for over 9 years and then calls them a mangy, old, disabled, diseased animal who needs to be dealt with immediately and permanently. He's using false accusations without any actual evidence and blame shifting to dehumanize targets and imply they should be removed. This weaponizes animal abuse rhetoric to justify erasure, a dangerous example of speciesist dehumanization. He says someone needs to be put down like a sick animal, calling them worthless and saying their life deserves to be ruined. Yet this is pure projection. He's blaming others for his own actions. It's a textbook case of hypocritical blame shifting. Using dehumanizing and speciesist language to justify cruelty while pretending to be the victim. He claims that anyone who disagrees with him is a sick, mangy, disabled animal who needs to be put down by equating disagreement with disease and using animal-killing language. He turns cruelty into a form of punishment. This is more than harassment. It's speciesist extremism. It dehumanizes, it silences dissent, and it glorifies harm toward the both human and animal alike. He calls people low-functioning, children, and old, mangy, sick, disabled, diseased animals, using ableist and speciesist slurs to humiliate and dehumanize them. By portraying himself as the innocent victim while labeling others in this way, he shifts blame and justifies his own harmful behavior. This rhetoric is designed to intimidate, degrade, and normalize cruelty toward both humans and animals, a clear example of deeply harmful and abusive communication. This is an explicit violent threat and absolutely disgusting. By calling someone a dirty, old, mangy, sick, disabled, deaf, dumb, and blind horse and saying they will soon be made into glue, he's referencing the historical practice of processing animal carcasses into glue to terrorize and humiliate a person. Combining ableist slurs with speciesist dehumanization, he glorifies cruelty and weaponizes suffering to intimidate, degrade, and silence the target. He degrades a person by calling them a dirty, old, mangy, sick, disabled, deaf, dumb, and blind horse and says they will soon be made into glue. This explicitly references the historical practice of turning dead horses into glue and functions as a violent threat. By combining ableist slurs with speciesist dehumanization, he weaponizes animal cruelty to terrorize, humiliate, and justify harm. This is a direct attempt to degrade a human being and constitutes a threat. This type of harmful and disturbing behavior, including violent threats, ableist and speciesist slurs, repeated harassment, and glorifying animal abuse, as a way to mock and dehumanize others, has no place online. I really hope it can be kept off for good one day.